41, 1 through 37, we have Pharaoh with a couple of dreams, and Joseph is hauled out of prison finally to interpret those dreams for the Pharaoh. One of the things that was really compelling for me in listening to that sermon was how Joseph challenged the idea of Pharaoh as a deity in the passage. Could you elaborate on that now that we kind of have a timeless format here?
Yeah, I talked about that a little bit in my sermon. It wasn't as though Joseph was directly confronting Pharaoh on, the fact that your people view you as a god is evil. It was just, as I've gone through this series, I've kind of come to look at Joseph as a bit naive, and I don't say that in a negative way. I say that in a positive way. That Joseph is just someone of character and integrity, and someone that's just going to be honest. And he doesn't seem to have political motivations. And, I use the term political broadly. It's not like he's trying to get on people's good side. He just kind of plainly speaks the truth and tries to do what's right in a God-pleasing way. And so when he has this opportunity to come before Pharaoh, he's just being himself and speaking the truth. And one of the things that is brought out in Genesis 41, perhaps more so by the author than Joseph's intention, is that Pharaoh in ancient Egypt was considered a deity by his people. That is one of the gods, small g, that the world acknowledged as someone having great power and someone, having great authority and wisdom. And Genesis 41 portrays Pharaoh as, almost a small child waking up from a nightmare and doesn't know what to make of it. And Pharaoh's a guy that has the best resources in the Near East, and he calls all of his wise men and magicians and says, I've had this really troubling couple of dreams. Tell me what they mean. And they can't. And so Joseph is brought up, and he says, well, I can't interpret the dreams either, but the real God can.
Yeah.
Right? And in him saying, well, the one true God is the interpreter of dreams. I mean, that is kind of an indirect challenge of a whole religious system of the land where Joseph is in Egypt. And so it's really kind of cool.
That answer by Joseph when he's hauled out of prison and has this really amazing opportunity to get his life back, kind of. Mm-hmm. He said, I hear you can interpret dreams. And for Joseph to say, I cannot,
right,
is so compelling.
Well, because, again, he's just being honest.
Right.
Politically, think about what he could have said.
Right.
Yeah, I can do that. Because and in doing that, he would have been trying to make himself something in the eyes of Pharaoh because, he wants to be out of prison.
Right.
And, what better way for him to ensure that he gets out of prison than Pharaoh says, well, this guy's got power and wisdom that, I need to tap into, I need to use. Yeah. But Joseph doesn't do that, doesn't take any credit.
It's an interesting connection to our conversation here last week, which was on our gifting and God's providence in our gifting. And so Joseph has this gift to interpret dreams. We've seen him use it with the baker and the cupbearer.
Sure.
But when asked, do you have the gift of interpreting dreams? It's not me. Yeah. It's God.
So it makes you wonder if there's a correlation between then our giving credit for all good things to God and the measure of gifts that we receive as well. Is that a way that God looks upon us? Right.
It's not a one-to-one thing.
God looks upon us and says, well, I've been able to trust him or her with a little bit. Right. And, he's still centered and oriented toward me, so I can trust him with more, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
That idea that Pharaoh is a deity is something that kind of crops up all throughout Scripture. I'm thinking especially of Caesar and the apostles losing their life because they wouldn't say Caesar is Lord.
Sure.
It was the idea eventually that these Caesars were gods among men.
Right.
Do you see that kind of interplay between Christians and the leaders of the day still now?
Well, I don't know where this quote came from, but everybody's heard it. With great power comes great responsibility.
It comes from Spider-Man.
And well, yeah, but I'm leading into another one that many people, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, right.
That's another one. That's maybe a more legitimate one. So you kind of hold those two things in tension. The Spider-Man one and the one probably spoken by somebody famous. But I think that there are a lot of megalomaniac leaders in all levels of society, actually. I mean, you can find them on the local level. And we're not just talking political, we're talking business too.
Sure.
People that feel as though, I'm the master of my own destiny, and, these people that are here that I am governing or that are working for me, these are just pawns that, are means to my ends, sort of thing. And so, yeah, I think that you see that an awful lot. What's the original sin? Adam and Eve wanted to sit in the seat that God sits in, right? And so that's something that, whether it's on a big stage, like we're talking biblically, with world leaders, or whether we're talking about, mid-level managers at a local processing plant, there's always going to be that danger.